Now, cowboy hats and Stetsons are all very cool, but they sort of have to be in context or else they come across a bit, well, crass. The Ford Raptor in the States is a mighty fire-breathing, leaping truck that gets me excited just looking at pictures of it on the internet. But again, in the UK, in Europe, it's a bit much. So now is the turn of its younger sibling, the Ford Ranger. This is the Ford Ranger Raptor. Now, those of you who've had to suffer younger siblings will be all too familiar with phrases such as and me, as they desperately want to join in with everything that you do. And that's sort of what's going on with the Ranger and Ford's F150 Raptor. This is the more Euro-friendly, slightly more sensible, if that can be atoned with this car, version of the Raptor. But that's not to take anything away from it, because you only have to take one look at this pickup truck and see that it has got some serious attitude. Everything from that great big bold Ford grille, the muscular arches that spill out over the huge knobbly tyres. The car has Baja truck written all over it, and in that respect it can stand toe to toe with the F150. What might surprise you though is that under the hood is not a big V8 lump or even turbocharged V6s or anything like that. Instead, you'll find a 2-litre bi-turbocharged diesel engine with about 210 brake horsepower. And yeah, it's not exactly what you'd expect of a character of this truck with all this theatre going on to find a quite sensible and surprisingly economic actually diesel engine under the bonnet. But then I suppose it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Fuel in Europe and the UK is quite expensive versus America, and also you get all that low down torque with a diesel engine, which is ideal for this truck. You know, it's got 369 pounds-feet of torque. That's enough torque for it to climb its way over just about any obstacle that finds in its path. Now, obviously with that engine, its 0 to 60 is, you know, a not terribly impressive 10.5 seconds, and it'll do 106 miles per hour flat out. But you don't buy this truck for its engine. You buy it for the extensive amount of chassis work that Ford have done to it. Because whilst it might look like a pumped up Raptor, underneath it is a genuine exercise in Baja rallying. The whole chassis has been stiffened and strengthened to deal with leaping from sand dune to sand dune. You've got enormous coil sprung suspension replacing leaf springs and great big Fox shock absorbers to take all that energy when the truck lands again on the other side. The huge BF Goodrich tyres have plenty of tread to scramble up just about any loose surface and actually contribute to the 51mm or 5 centimetres increased ride height of this truck. Now, channeling power to the wheels from the engine is actually a really smooth 10-speed automatic gearbox, which can block change, meaning it can jump from 6th to 3rd without having to go through all the gears. It just means you get a more responsive shift. Yeah, and it's really smooth when you leave it to its own devices. I'm not sure about these wheel-mounted paddles here. It's a lot of gears to click through if you were to take manual control, and also it's a diesel, so you're short shifting quite consistently. So I'm not really sure of their function, to be honest. Now, as you might expect, this 10-speed auto connects to a selectable all-wheel drive system. So you've got 4 high range, 4 low range, but also you can stick it in rear-wheel drive, which can be quite good fun, especially when you don't have any load in the back, and the back end can swing around quite nicely out of junctions, leaving gratuitous number 11 skid marks wherever you go, or tear up a field like I did the other day doing donuts, hence why this car's a bit muddy. Speaking of modes, this car has a series of settings that you can play with for mud, snow, gravel, wet surfaces, rocks, you name it. It's all programmed in here, but something that you might not expect on a truck is a Sport Plus mode. And when you push that, the already quite accurate steering sharpens up a little more, you get a bit more throttle response, and you actually find this truck to be surprisingly agile. There's very little body roll through the corners, certainly for a big heavy truck like this. It's no lightweight, but you feel you can really accurately place it, and it drives surprisingly sporty. It definitely defies its weight. And another benefit of that more cosseting suspension that you have is that the ride is incredibly supple. I mean, our battered British roads are pretty bad for most European tuned cars, but this thing is designed to deal with the rough and tumble of Baja, so even the most fierce of potholes are seen off pretty quickly. But my favourite mode in this truck has to be Baja mode, because it highlights how this Ranger Raptor can do things that no other pickup truck can do without destroying itself. Whilst you see a regular Ford Ranger being very impressive off-road, you know, it's got a solid all-wheel drive system, with the right tyres it'll go almost anywhere. But then this comes along and tackles the same rough terrain 35 mile an hour faster. It's incredible. You're always told to go slow off-road for fear of damaging the car. But this, it tackles obstacles like they're hurdles. It skips and jumps over just about all of them, and its off-road capabilities are really, truly impressive. It's the fact that you can cover rough ground so quickly thanks to the intuitive suspension and, you know, just how hardy the whole vehicle is. It's like nothing else. I mean, you do that with an X-Class, you know, anything short of an Isuzu D-Max AT35, I mean, you're going to be breaking the vehicle. This takes it all in its stride and asks for more. The great thing is that once you're done climbing every mountain and terrorizing the local wildlife, you rejoin the road, and like many pickup trucks today, it feels so much more car-like to drive. You've got things like Ford Sync 3, you know, you've got parking assist, it's got all of the tech to make your life comfortable. But as a boisterous family toy, I mean, the noise cancelling going on through the speakers here is incredible. I can scarcely hear anything, a bit of road noise at speed, but yeah, it's a very surprisingly refined thing for such an aggressively styled monster. I think you'd live with it quite easily. Now, sadly in the UK, this doesn't qualify to get your VAT back because it can't carry a ton in the back and can only tow 2.5 tons, which is a bit of a shame if you're looking for this as you know, a workhorse. And it contributes greatly to the 49k asking price of this vehicle. But there is nothing like it. It's so bespoke. Now, some people go and spend the thick end of 50 grand on a sports car to be their toy. But do you know what? I think I'd rather sit down and have a pint and a chat with the bloke who's got a Ranger Raptor in the car park than the one who's going to bore me to death about his Porsche Cayman.
Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe for all of the latest and greatest cars to hit the road. For breaking news and written reviews, visit www.insidelane.co.uk.